campsite, y'all. Ready to get started with the story. Hey everybody, this is Daisy. I'm back here in the woods at my spot. I got my fire going. I'm ready to go. It's getting dark out. I'm ready to start telling stories. I do have a special drink tonight. It's Seagram's Escape Spike Jamaican Me Happy. And it's watermelon. And I don't know how much alcohol it has in it, but it doesn't have a whole lot. But I am going to be drinking that tonight and telling you a story. It's kind of spooky back here in the woods, but it's kind of quiet too. So let's open this and see how we're to do and see how this is. Let me get a little drink of this. That's really good, actually. Seagram Spike. Cool. Okay, tonight is the story about an Appalachian girl who was taking a hike on the Appalachian Trail, and she ran across something very, very scary, which she thought was a Sasquatch. So she decided to just walk through the Appalachian Trail. She lives in the Appalachian Mountains. And so she decided to just take a little hike one day after a long day. So she decided that she was going to walk up the trail. And it started getting dark like this. She stayed out a little bit longer than what she should have. And she said she came up on this old like shack. And she decided to check it out. Like, I would never do that. I would never check out a shack. Y'all don't have to worry because Daisy's not going to do that. But she said she was going to check out the shack. And so she tried to open the door and the door was locked. So she went around the back part of the door and it was open. So she decided to walk in the door and just look around, and it's just old. There wasn't nobody staying in there or nothing. So she decided to kind of hang out there and, you know, drink her some coffee and just eat her a little snack because she brought it with her when she was hiking, and then head back home. So she was probably about, I guess, about 3 miles out. And so she was hanging out there and just having a good time, just peace and calm and relaxation. And then she heard like a knocking, like somebody was like throwing rocks at the little shack. And she just thought at first that she was crazy and that, you know, she was just hearing things. Maybe it was just a bird or something like that. And then it happened again. So she looked out the windows of the shack and she didn't see nothing. It was getting about dark at this time. And she said, well, I better head back. And so she started to head back out the door. And then she smelled something really, really, really bad. And she was like, I don't know what this smell is, but it smells worse than sewage. It smells like... she don't even know what it was that it smelled like. And so she was like, okay, maybe it's just a skunk or something in the woods. And so she continued to leave, and eventually the smell went away. And she was heading back. It was starting to get dark out. And she was starting to get a little bit spooked. She'd stayed out longer than what she should have done. And it was getting dark on her really, really fast. So she started to pick up the speed a little bit. And then all of a sudden she felt something like fly by her head. And she was like, what is going on? And so she started to pick up the pace. At first she thought it was like a tree branch or something that fell, and then it happened again. And she was like, this ain't no coincidence. Somebody is playing a trick on me. Somebody is throwing rocks at me. And she started smelling that smell again. Ooh, y'all are right about these things. So she started smelling that smell again. And so it started picking up. The rocks kept coming. She got more scared. And so she decided to pick up the pace. Well, she could hear something following her in the woods as she was trying to make her way out. And so when she would stop, it would stop. And so she decided to pick up the pace and, kind of like running fast. And she heard it gaining up on her. So she decided to take a different path through the woods, just to try to lose this thing. She didn't know what it was, a bear. She thought that somebody was playing a trick on her, but she wasn't for sure. And so she decided to stop for a minute and just listen and see what it was that was following her in this woods. And so that's what she did. She stopped, and all of a sudden she looked over and the light was just barely still there, and she saw this big tall creature, probably about 6 or 8 feet tall. And it was standing there rocking back and forth, just looking at her. And it was rocking back and forth. And it was probably about 10 feet from her. And she was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to get out of here? Is this thing going to kill me? What? And she could smell that smell. And so she decided to just back up slowly and try to get out of there and out of the way and get as far away from this creature as she could get. So she started to back up slowly, and she stepped on a branch. And when she did, the creature noticed that she was watching him, and he let out a humongous scream. It was a scream like you've never heard before in your whole life. I want to show you the fire. If this thing would stay up. And so that Seagram's is good, y'all. So she let out that scream like she'd never screamed before. Or she did. The creature did. And so she decided to get the heck out of there. So she took off running and running and running. And she could hear this thing behind her. And she finally got to her car. And when she got in her car and she started it up, this thing run out in front of her car and just stood there staring at her. So she turned the car on and put it in drive and drove around it. And she could hear it squalling in the back as she's leaving. And she got out of there, honey, and she was flying. She was scared to death. And she probably got about 5 miles down the road, hit a gas station, and had to stop and catch her composure because she could not believe what she had just experienced. She could not believe. She didn't know what she was looking at. So she said that she would never hike again. That was her last time of hiking because she was so scared, and she'd never experienced anything like that in her life. And that she would never go hiking by herself again, and that she knows in her heart that it was a Sasquatch. She said there's no doubt in my mind that it was not a Bigfoot Sasquatch. And she said that she has never been back there again, and she's actually kind of have a little bit of post-traumatic stress from the incident. So, yeah, she's pretty scary. She was pretty scared and tore up about it. But that's the end of my story. Tell me how you like it, you guys. I love you all. This is my first story. This is my first camp story. It's getting dark out. You guys, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. I will be doing a live tonight. We're going to talk about Sebastian Rogers. But y'all, what do you think she's saying? Do you think it was a Sasquatch? Let me know in the comments down below. And let me know if you want me to continue telling these stories. I love y'all. Y'all stay prayed up. Be careful out there in this woods.